Okay, this is how you can format your manuscript for CreateSpace using Microsoft Word 2007. Paste your manuscript into one of CreateSpace's templates, and you can get these at CreateSpace after you register with them. And remember that if you save an older version of your manuscript, you're going to lose your newer version. This is something I've learned. And I'm showing you some pictures here of different CreateSpace manuscripts. This is what you're going to get. In Microsoft Word 2007, you will need to redo the margins. You do not want to use the ones that come with CreateSpace. And the way you do this is you highlight your work or you select your work first. And you do that by going to Home, and then in the upper right you hit select and then select all, and that highlights everything. And then after you do that, then you go in to set your margins. And the way you do that is you go to page layout, then margins, then at the bottom choose custom margins. For a big book around 300 to 400 pages, which is what I have, and a 6x9 manuscript, you would use 0.65 for the top, bottom, and right margins. For the left and the gutter, use 0.55. This comes out really nice. It took me a while to figure this out. Don't touch anything else in the template. Leave the template alone in this section except you change the margins. And remember that if you change the margins at the end of the process, you need to highlight all your text first in order for it to take, and then go in and change your margins for it to take. Okay, we are working with a template. Now that's what I used to create my novel Silver Skies, and I'm showing you how to use a template. You want to use Times New Roman font 11 point for the body text. It's a true font, which is what you need, and it works well with CreateSpace when you submit your manuscript to CreateSpace as a Microsoft Word file, not as a PDF file. That's really complicated, so I decided just to do it as a Microsoft Word file. But don't use the Times New Roman .11 font on the beginning pages or you're going to mess them up. They have a different font and different sizes and everything. So you will need to select or highlight the body text and then use the Times New Roman 11 point for the body text. Next, go to page layout. We're working on the body text now. Then paragraph to work on the body text. Okay, you want your alignment in the paragraph box that comes up to be justified. Your outline level is body text. Your indentation is going to be 0 for the inside and outside. Under special, make it first line indent by 0.2. This is really important. You do not want to manually indent in your manuscript, so you want to make it, you do it through the paragraph box. This is standard for paperback books. Make it 0.2. The spacing before and after is 0 point. Your line spacing is single. Also check that you do not add space between paragraphs of the same style. Do not forget to hyphenate, but do not do it manually. Let Microsoft Word do it for you, or else you're going to end up with a confused mess like I did, where we're going to have, where if you have to go back and make changes later, all your hyphenated words that you did manually are going to be in the middle of your text, and it's going to look really stupid. So if you need to make changes to your text later, it's a lot easier to just let Word do the hyphenating. To hyphenate, you go to page layout, then you click hyphenation in the page setup section, then just choose automatic. It's essential to hyphenate to have a professional appearance, or else some of your sentences will be really spaced out and weird looking, and you don't want that. So if you redo any of the beginning pages, make sure they open up correctly so that left is left and right is right. To fix this, you may need to use the insert and then the page break to add or remove pages. And if you don't like the height of how some of the predefined text layouts are, you know, like you don't like the way the template has the height set up at the beginning pages, you can go to the point right before the section break or right before the page break and add enters to make it go higher, like enter, enter, enter. Or you can delete the enters to make it go lower. So that's one way that you can, you know, make it go higher or lower. Um, but if you want to know how it's going to really look in your book, because what you're seeing on the Microsoft Word screen is not going to be exactly how it's going to look in your book. I've learned that from experience. So if you want to see how the page will look in the book, when you submit your manuscript to CreateSpace and they give you the option to use Interior Reviewer, use it. And what you see on the Interior Reviewer is how the text will be in your box. So it's I'm showing you a bunch of slides here of what you're going to see at Interior Reviewer, and you need to use this. And when the page opens up on and you're doing the flip pages on Interior Reviewer, and pay attention to the height of the text, because that's exactly what it's going to look like in your published book. Do not use the table of contents that comes with the template. Just delete the table of contents that comes with the template and do your own. You want to do this last so that the page numbers will be accurate in your table of contents, because I've learned that if you make a bunch of changes in your manuscript so that the page numbers change and you leave your table of contents alone, then your page numbers will reflect your previous work and not your latest edition. So when you're finished with everything, then do your table of contents. First, you need to go through your entire manuscript and highlight each chapter heading. And the way you do this is you go to Home, and then with your chapter heading highlighted, you click on Heading 1. And you need to do this for every chapter heading throughout your manuscript in order for your table of contents to work. Next, you go to the spot in your manuscript where you want to insert your table of contents. Once you find that spot and you've got your cursor there, then you go to References, then Table of Contents, and then choose Insert Table of Contents. In the box that comes up, choose Show Page Numbers and Show Level 1. Do not check the box or uncheck the box that says use hyperlinks instead of page numbers, because that's only if you're doing Kindle and you're not doing Kindle. Then click OK. Remember, if you make any changes to your document, that you need to redo the table of contents so that your page numbers will be accurate in your table of contents. So I always do that last whenever I make changes. Now, to make the table of contents fit nice on the page, you highlight all of the table of contents that you want to format. Then you go to Paragraph and hit the bottom right corner to open up the dialog box. Once you're in, choose Single Spacing, and also choose Don't Add Space Between Paragraphs of the Same Style. Uncheck the box if it's checked. And then in the spacing after section, here you're going to adjust the amount of space between the lines in the table of contents. And you can type in the number of points you want in the spacing before and after boxes. It's the after box that you're worried about. And that will adjust the length of the lines in your table of contents. So you can shorten the table of contents or lengthen it. I had 28 chapters, and in order to get it to fit it all on one page, I had to make the after section, I think, 0 and single spacing. And I had to, and then that fixed it. Also, if the chapters are, let's say they're hitting too low on the page, and you want them to go a little higher, then what you ought to do is get your cursor and put it just above the section break or the page break. That's usually where you go, and then type Enter, 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 and that will bring the text up on your page. And if you want to bring everything down, then delete the enters. And remember to check with Interior Reviewer to see how it's really going to show on your page, how high or low it is, because Interior Reviewer is the accurate indicator of what your published work is going to look like. I learned that from experience, because one time it looked like it was centered in Microsoft Word 2007, and when I got my paper version, it was really low and looked crappy. So I learned to go by Interior Reviewer and not the Microsoft Word page to know how high or low the text sits on the page. As you create your text, Make sure you do not manually indent, but let Word do it automatically for you through the paragraph box. And you use the first line option. And when you save your file, change the name each time, or the bugs and cookies may not realize the change, and the old version will go through. For a professional appearance, you want the top of each page smooth with no widows, that is, no one-liners. Your bottom can be a little irregular, but try to make both the top and bottom even as much as possible. Consistency between the pages contributes to a professional appearance. The best way to deal with this is by highlighting the text you want to modify and playing with spacing to make the tops and bottoms of your pages look nice. You highlight the text, right-click, choose font, then choose character spacing. Click on spacing, then choose expanded or condensed, depending on what you want to do. Next, choose how much you want to expand or condense for the appearance you want on the page by messing with the two by boxes to the right. Then click OK, and the spacing on the selected text will change, causing either shrinkage or expansion on the text, and that'll help you get rid of any orphans or widows. Another way to do it, to get rid of orphans and widows, is just delete paragraph marks or use insert and then page break. Delete some of your enters. Leave everything else alone in the template except what I've discussed. Make sure you run a spell check, but turn the grammar checker off because you should have already done that before you get to this publishing stage. Don't rely on the spell check alone. It misses a lot of things, and you'll also need to go through the manuscript page by page to look for spelling errors and all sorts of things. When it comes time to proof, it's best to proof on paper. Using the PDF files are okay, but you're going to miss something. Then you're going to have to take the manuscript off the market and redo it. Once you submit your proof, the book goes under review. So if your book is already up for to buy and they take it off until it passes review, then you're not going to be able to sell it until then. Amazon's fast, and the review process is usually done overnight. And your proofs are ready in the morning as PDF files. Sometimes it takes 48 hours. Though I would recommend getting a paper version, or you'll miss something, and it costs about $6 to order the paper version. For Kindle, get the free book from Amazon called Building Your Book for Kindle. So that's an excellent book to read to format a book for Kindle. For the best look, use only one space after periods, colons, and exclamation marks and question marks. And then if you did double spacing after these, like I was taught in my 70s typing class, use search and replace to replace all periods, colons, exclamation marks, and question marks from 2 spaces to 1 space. Don't forget to run a search and replace on your quotation marks, also with the period, question mark, and exclamation mark, and replace. And for the colon, where you do a double space after that, don't forget about that. You need to replace that with single.